Welcome, everybody. Uh, Fantastic to have you guys here, and welcome to the Pets track of the UN Datathon. Um, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take you through some introduction to responsible data science and hands-on privacy technologies. And I'm also hoping that through this journey, in the preparation up to the hackathon itself, we can basically learn together and you will be able to get a good grip on what responsible data science is really about and how you can create and submit a really good project for the upcoming hackathon by following some of the best practices and also by kind of documenting your journey in a way which makes sure that everything will be reproducible. There's going to be a long series of upcoming office hours that we will be doing. And so over the next 2 weeks, there will be several sessions like this that I will be hosting with the Oblivious team here. And hopefully you will learn a lot while we take you through that journey. So I'm just going to show you quickly which sessions we have coming up as well, so that you have a handy guide. So these are the list of all sessions that we have coming up over the next 2 weeks. So by going through that with us, hopefully you will get a very good feel step by step on how to do responsible data science and how to use privacy enhancing technologies in your journey. And the ones that are highlighted in green here are extremely beginner friendly. We are not assuming any prior knowledge. So we'll make sure that no matter which level of expertise you have, you will be able to really learn something from it and come out with a great set of skills and hopefully a fantastic hackathon experience. So before we begin, let me give a quick introduction about myself. I'm Ali Rizvi. I'm product lead at Anti-Granular, which is powered by Oblivious. My background is in machine learning. I did PhD in Steve Roberts' lab at University of Oxford. And then I spent several years in various consulting roles for insurtech, health tech, and then have spent a lot of time in various startups, also focusing on machine learning, data science, cloud computing. Within Oblivious, we create tools and platforms that allow data scientists to do privacy first and privacy focused data science without breaking their normal workflow. And hopefully we will learn a lot of that in the coming days. So first, the why. Why are we doing all these office hours from now until the hackathon? First of all, we want you to have a great hackathon experience. That is the first thing. You should hopefully enjoy what you're doing, and hopefully it gets you really understanding the joy of doing data science and working with big data. And we also want to lay the foundation for you to become an expert data scientist in the future who can work with large scale data, find the insights from that data without having to compromise the privacy of individuals or institutions. And here, an important thing to see is that we are saying the privacy of both individuals and institutions, because when we usually think of privacy, we think just individuals, but institutions also need privacy protections. And of course, United Nations has so many statistics offices and so many bodies that really need privacy in the data that they create and the data that they share. And so we also need to keep in mind institutional privacy in that aspect. So today in the agenda, we will go through. First, we want to understand what your skill sets are, where are you coming from, what do you want to learn, and then we will actually dive in, hopefully, to a hands-on example and do some privacy first data science together. Then we will look at some of the theoretical concepts and how to use them in practice and how to begin a responsible data science project. So hopefully you can learn some best practices or kind of get a refresher to best practices you already know so that you can construct your hackathon project in a systematic way between now and 3rd of November. So without further ado, if you don't mind going to this link, I just want to kind of ask some questions and basically understand where everybody's coming from. So to make it a little bit easier, I'll just share this link in the chat here in our Zoom chat. So hopefully everybody can go there, and basically we will start with some basic questions to understand kind of where everybody's coming from, how kind of like how much experience people have with data science, and we will go for that from there. Hopefully people are able to access the link, and then I will basically show what we want to do. So hopefully you guys can all see this question on the screen, and you can see it in Slido. Please let me know if anybody is having any issues reaching the Slido link. The purpose of asking this question is just so that for today and for future sessions, we can understand how much expertise everybody has, what they're really trying to focus on, just so that we are not, completely giving you information that you are already an expert in. So in this question, I'm just asking basically, how familiar are you with data science and machine learning? And I'm treating data science and machine learning as two separate buckets. So you can pick two allowed answers here. So you can tell me, for example, you might be like an expert in data science, but you are just completely green in machine learning. So please pick one answer for your expertise in data science from the top four, and one answer from your expertise in machine learning from the bottom four. And you can like I'll get to see like how many people have submitted the answer here, and then we can take like 2-3 minutes here, and then we will move on. Awesome. I'm getting some answers. Fantastic. Okay, so from the answers I have so far, and if you're seeing the recording, you can still go, this Slido link will still be active, and you can kind of add your answer there. And so we have people who seem to have a pretty solid background in data science, but have some basic knowledge in machine learning. So that's very useful to know that we can kind of target our messaging for people who should have like most of the knowledge around data science, but are also at the beginning of their journey, perhaps in machine learning. So we can go to the next question, actually. And so the next question I have here for you is around responsible data science. Let me just see if it has actually switched. Yes. So how familiar are you with responsible data science? Maybe you are an expert, you understand this term very well, or maybe you are completely new to it. So if you would kindly give me some understanding of where you are in that journey, that would be super helpful. Okay, so nobody has picked the expert one, so that's okay. That's great. That means this presentation will still be useful for you. But we have obviously some answers coming that people have. Some have heard about this, some are new to this, which is amazing. Okay, so we are going to kind of jump to the next one. The final poll basically I have for you, which is around how familiar are you with privacy enhancing technologies? And if you could kindly give me some idea of that, that would be great. Maybe you don't know, maybe you are hearing this term for the first time, maybe you're an expert, like, and then you will help me also give this presentation. So, okay. Okay, so in privacy enhancing technologies, nobody has said they're an expert. Most people seem to be new to this concept. Maybe you have heard it a few times before, but it seems fairly we are together on this journey to learn about it more and more as we go ahead. So, okay, that is fantastic. Now, throughout this chat and also in the following days, we'll keep using Slido, so you can just pop a Q&A question here, And I really love Slido because you can actually vote on each other's questions. So maybe somebody has asked a question you really wanted to ask, and you can just upvote their question. So you can just like ask any question here. You don't have to type your name. It can be fairly anonymous. You can just say, what are privacy enhancing technologies? And then we will come back to those questions. And then, so basically you'll submit it, and it will show to everybody as a question, and you can upvote the question as well, or you can take away the upvote if you don't. So that's kind of the basic hygiene. So we'll go back to the slide session, and just to share on this, like, why are we talking about responsible data science and privacy enhancing technologies? What is the motivation for us? Obviously, we live in a very data rich world. UN Big Data is a big effort to contribute to that. And we obviously hear this term around ethics of big data and doing data science in a way that doesn't, cause unintended consequences. And really, responsible data science is about making sure that what we do as data scientists, we are following the practices and the techniques and the tools that basically get the results that we actually wanted. I'm coming from the assumption that as data scientists, and especially if you're participating in a UN Datathon, you really like want to do data science for social good. And you really want to make a positive difference in the world. And so responsible data science is a term that has started kind of coming really into maturity over the last couple of years. And it is about using the tools, the techniques in your data science practice that make sure that you perform data science without causing harm, without being unfair, by being kind of accountable, etc. And we'll look at those principles in a second. Now, privacy enhancing technologies are some of the tools, both hardware and software tools and techniques that actually enable you to do it in a pragmatic way beyond the principles. These are basically things that allow you as data scientists to do, hands-on keyboard data science with things that then take care of the complex part of doing responsible data science for you. At any point, if I'm going too fast, or if you want to jump in and ask a question and you don't want to put it on slide, you can also just raise your hand and prompt me if something doesn't make sense. I'm happy to revisit it and go back on it. Okay, so we'll start with a bit of kind of principles of data science, and let's go hands-on. Before we jump into the theory, let's just do privacy first data science right now, and you'll all get a flavor for it. And it's pretty simple, and you'll quickly see why I'm so excited about it. So if you want to kindly follow me along, just go to antigranular.com, and there we will hands-on start doing some quick coding, and we'll immediately get a flavor for how easy it is in this day and age to do privacy first data science. So if you want to follow me along, please go to antigranular.com. I would love to see if you can just raise your hand in the Zoom so that I get a feel for, how many people are coming along. And so if you just please raise your hand if you're actually going to follow me on the notebook, so that I make sure that I'm following. If I'm the only one, then it's a bit of a lonely thing to do. Clarence, even you can join, like it would be super fun for you. Awesome. Habiti, is that how you pronounce your name? If you could tell me how to pronounce your name, I can also, you can unmute and you can tell me how to pronounce your name.
Thank you, Alirisi. My name is Tabiti.
Tabiti. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you. So you are following me along, Percy, Elizabeth, and Clarence, and Barul. If you are keen to join me, I would encourage you to also follow along. Okay. So following along is pretty simple. So so I'll just sign out. You can see you can just do a login very quickly. You just go on Antigranular and you just oh, it stopped sharing. So I'll share back in 1 second. So just on antigranular.com, you can basically just go and say sign in, and just on sign in, you can use the Google ID. You don't need to make any kind of new account or anything. You can just use your Google single sign on, and you will be in. And so here, obviously, I have it set up. The good thing is, even if you did not want to create an account immediately, you can follow some of the things along, but you will need the account if you want to copy the code. So first we go in notebooks. So in notebooks, we have some handy notebooks by the Oblivious team already here. And the one I'm interested in is this one that Sanat made 13 days ago, this car evaluation exploratory data analysis. And so what we will do is we will go here, and in this notebook, I simply click Launch Notebook. And when I say Launch Notebook, this little model pops up. And depending on whatever you are comfortable with, I recommend using Google Colabs. And you just click on Google Colabs, and it will simply open this very easy, it will copy the whole notebook for you. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to type any code. You just get this like beautiful notebook already populated, ready for you to do your stuff. And so once you have this, then you can actually follow along every step in Google Colab. You don't have to literally, you don't have to write any line of code. Now, one tweak we do need to make is once you have copied the Google Colab, you need to go into dataset, or when you're in notebook and you are in that notebook itself, you can just actually click here on the dataset that this notebook is associated with. And this is associated with the car evaluation data set. And there you just need to copy this little credential box. So basically, this is just your particular password to engage with the notebook itself. And there you just need to scroll down into this little section. This is the third code box or something. It just says, session, etc. So you just select all of that and just paste. And then it will paste your credentials into this. And that's it. You don't need to write anything more. And now we can actually just start looping through. I just make sure this cell runs, and then, yep, it is running. Let's just assume that like something is happening, some magic is happening in the world of coding, and we don't need to understand the details and specifics of it. Right now, we just want to get a feel for how easy or difficult is my life going to be if I really want to do responsible data science. And obviously, I have a perspective that it is going to be fairly easy for you. So then that library was installed. You install the second set of libraries. Sanat has done exceptional commenting here. So you can read everything to get a feel for what is happening if you want to follow along. And you can see that each cell is like executing very easily. If you haven't used Google Colab before, I really like it as a platform because you can see it gives you immediately like how much time a cell took to execute. So like very quickly, it tells you the cell did execute, it took 6 seconds, and it's done. And so now I'm just like running along. I'm doing my beautiful library imports, it's all Python familiar thing that we are doing. I've done some magic here. There is like percentage AG, but like you ignore it for now. You just like follow along. Don't worry about it, and you just kind of keep going, running the cells slowly, and you can see that, oh my God, like things are happening. I'm getting a result back. This is like my first result back. I I loaded some data set already, and now I got some result back about what are the columns in that data set. And if you have followed me along till now, if you came along to this point, you have just done your first privacy preserving data science thing. I'm honest that this is how simple it was. Like that you have officially taken your first step in becoming a privacy preserving data scientist. Because the thing that has happened here is I've asked for columns, and obviously it hasn't given me any data. And now if I execute this cell as well, it is taking me further and further along into the most specific things that I need to use to do responsible data science. Now, actually, this out of the way, I'm going to switch gears back to the presentation because this is a fairly kind of extensive notebook, and it has a lot of very cool things happening in it. And you can obviously see the full executed version of it on the website here as well. One of the things that I really like about this notebook is because it is very visual. It does graphs and like things like analyzing the data set in a visual way. And you don't actually see the data set at any point throughout the notebook, which is the really interesting part about it. And we will see that in the next couple of office hours as well. But yeah, so this is you have just taken your first step to becoming a certified responsible data scientist. I approve. So now we'll go back to a little bit of the kind of more theoretical stuff. Like, okay, what did we just do? We just ran some notebook, but what did we really do here? So what we are trying to achieve is that, as I said, we are trying to be responsible data scientists. And the principles of responsible data science are these five principles. And they come from this exceptional book by Bruce and Fleming called Responsible Data Science. It was published 2 years ago. And I really like this book. So if anybody is like really looking for a good beginning book, this is a great book. So the five principles are non-malfeasance, fairness, transparency, accountability, and privacy. Of course, these are things we all kind of understand, agree on, but this just like collects them in a very, very good way for us to really see and understand. And now non-malfeasance is about avoiding harm. Please don't do anything with data science that results in harm, either by kind of choice or by negligence. The harm is of both types. Fairness, I think we have a pretty good handle on it, like equal representation, anti-discrimination, dignity, and just outcomes. I think this is very outcomes-focused fairness, not just like doing things that we think just contribute to equality, but actually result in just outcomes. Transparency, which is about what are you doing? Like, can you clearly help me understand, like, what is this model or data set about? Interpretability, explaining your model choices, and having user consent to actually use their data in your models. Accountability, it has like this is a more involved concept, like what is really our accountability as data scientists, but what it boils down to is acting with integrity and making sure that if there are people who are stakeholders in this data science, then we are answering their concerns and we are engaging with them and making sure they understand why and what we are trying to do. Just adding one more user into the room. And then privacy. This we will really deep dive into over the next couple of days, but privacy really is about the concept that we make sure that all aspects of our data are protected. Input, output, making sure that the outputs that we are releasing into the world do not mean that suddenly people can find out the inputs. And we will see what this means in a moment. But I haven't so far talked about like harmful examples of data science. I think like in the recent years, it has been really obviously talked about. Like there are so many examples where data breaches have happened or data science might have been used in ways which were not intended. And this is really a push to move away from that. Now, the responsible data science framework, this is a theoretical picture, but like it is really a way to practically implement those principles into your data science workflow for the hackathon. And I will tell you how to implement each of these steps. And I think really, if you follow these steps, your data science project will really stand out because we have like, I don't know, 600 teams or something in this. So you really want to do your project in a way that looks really polished and professional and mature. And so these steps, like really the way you set up your project can really help you and your team perform quite well. The main parts of it, I will actually just show you that we will follow in the privacy track. We want to follow on this preparation and modeling part really a lot. But to quickly give you an understanding of what this is about, is that the 5 parts are: you need to provide the justification. Why are you doing this project? Why is this valuable? Documenting everything about the project, like where did the data set come from? Which tools did you use? And we'll go into documentation in a second. Proper preparation, which means cleaning the data in a way that others can clean it like that too. Like if you have like a long data set and you manually clean it, that's a bit harder for others to reproduce because then they don't know why you kept or deleted certain parts of the data set. So doing ETL and documenting why you prepared the data in a certain way. Interpretable modeling, which means using the data science tools and techniques which you can explain, not just doing something because okay it gave me an accurate result, but telling like why may I have got an accurate result, using the things that you can explain to a user or a judge during the hackathon. Auditing checks, I don't think we will get to this during the hackathon. Like, I don't think you will be able to build auditing checks. But basically, this type of checks really cover for bias. Make sure that, can we make sure that the data and the outcomes are not biased? And it's actually a fairly advanced thing, but like it's really an important thing for you to remember for future. And just to double down on the top three, which is the justify, the compile, and the prepare parts, the justification for you in this hackathon is really going to come down to what is the relevance of the data set and the modeling that you're using? What are you trying to solve? And why could this technique be good for solving it? And then helping people understand what are some of the potential ethical issues or past comparative techniques that have been applied. Like, have other people tried things? Where did they fail? So a little bit of a literature review of past experiences of people in the same problem or technique space. Then in compile, basically this is about documentation, and actually you'll see it a bit more tangibly. But here you really want to tell where is your data coming from, which models are you using, and how can others reproduce your results. And preparing, as I mentioned, is about processing the data in a way and performing feature engineering in a way that others can do as well, and they can reproduce and recreate, and it kind of, they can follow along your process and validate it. Now, just on 2 parts, as I said, in compile, there are specific things you need to be thinking of from now and the start of the hackathon. The first thing is a data sheet. A data sheet is a kind of card for your data, which tells key information, technical and non-technical information that is relevant for the data set. This was created, this concept really came to maturity by Tim Gabru, who used to be at Google, and she has this archive paper, a data sheet for data sets. And I'm sharing an example here of what a data card looks like. Basically, it says who is the publisher of the data. For the hackathon, most of your data sets will be coming from UN, but obviously you can tell which branch of UN or which team has curated the data set. So who is the publisher of the data set? Then what are the data types? Is it image data, time series data? Then the data set, kind of what you're doing on it, like you are training, you're testing, what is the license type of this data set, how was this data collected, and then whatever sampling methods may have been used in the data set. And so if you look for data cards online, you'll find many examples of very good data cards. The second thing you need to start thinking about is populating a model card. What is a model card? Basically, a model card tells you the details of the model you are using on top of your data set. What is the purpose of this model? How should it be used? What are some of the considerations you have taken into account? And what metrics you have applied in this model to evaluate the performance? And so between a data card and a model card, you will have a really professional looking hackathon project. So if you start thinking about or creating your template for a data card and a model card, you'll already, I think, be ahead of the pack. Now, I want to take a brief moment to give you some intuition about what is privacy enhancing technology or privacy preserving data science and why we are so excited about it. And so let me start with a quick example here. So everybody can see this picture, right? Like, so maybe a little bit of interaction here. You can somebody like just maybe unmute themselves and tell me what do you think is this picture? Obviously, I scrolled through the slides, so maybe you have a bit of an idea what the picture is. But what do you think this picture is? No worries. I mean, so obviously, this picture is of some cars, I would say, and it's quite blurry, but we can't quite tell how many cars might be in this, but we can kind of tell that there is cars in this. And the intuition I'm trying to drive here is that privacy preserving data science tries to strike the balance between how much noise we have in the data set to how much useful things we can do with the data set. And so here, there is a lot of noise in the data set, but we can still provide some useful answer as data scientists that we think this image is of cars. Now, if you use less noise in the data set, then you actually can suddenly tell a lot about this data set. You can tell how many cars are in it, where this picture is taken, because you can clearly see cars for less now. And then you can easily count like there are maybe 9 cars in this picture, or 10 if you count the van in the back. What you can't yet tell is you cannot tell private information about in this data set because you cannot see the number plates. Now, if there was no noise in this data set, all of a sudden you can see the number plates in the cars and you can see the phone number for car for less. And so this just gives you a little bit of intuition that actually by balancing noise in a data set, you can change the amount of personal information that the data set tells you and how much aggregate uh, insights we can gather from the data sets versus how much private information is told to the world. Now, this I hopefully gives you a bit of intuitive insight about what is this balance that we as responsible data scientists are trying to strike by using privacy enhancing technologies. And to really drive the point home, there are 2 types of privacy enhancing technologies: input and output privacy. Input privacy is really about implementing checks and balances on the data set when you ingest it to make sure that nothing in the data set will give away private information. So you use digital ways to enforce your like terms and conditions on the data set itself. You want to make sure that the data set is only used for the purposes it was intended for. You want to make sure that others cannot use the data set for means that you didn't want it. And that you want to make sure that the data set is not leaking information about individuals that could be used in harmful ways. And then the second part is output privacy. So the output privacy is about making sure that the data it cannot be reverse engineered from the outputs you have told. So that the original information cannot be recreated if you're giving out some kind of information to the world. And this is the output privacy side of things, that if I tell you something or a summary statistic, or if I release a report based on some data, somebody cannot suddenly recreate the data set that went into making the report. And that's the output privacy side of things. And between input and output privacy, we use various privacy enhancing technologies to help us do responsible data science. And I think I will pause there, and I will, because we will cover the rest of these concepts in a lot more depth in the upcoming session. Um, I'm leaving this here, and I'm just going to take a minute to just see if there are any kind of questions that we may have coming in. Okay, so on Slido, I'm not seeing much questions, but let me double check if there's anything in the chat. Amazing. Yes. Thank you, Kaviti. You gave the answer about cars. Yeah. Uh, if there are any questions from anybody who has joined, I'm happy to take some questions. Otherwise, I will quickly give a summary overview of what we covered today. And then hopefully I will see some of you on Wednesday when we are going to talk more about an overview of machine learning models and setting up a data science pipeline. I'll pause quickly here for any questions from you guys. All right, since there are no questions, it seems, I'm just going to give a summary of what we covered today. So, as I said, the purpose is really about making sure you have a great hackathon experience and that laying the foundation for you to become expert data scientists, and so that you can work with data and find insights from it without compromising the privacy of individuals and institutions. We went through understanding where everybody is at in their data science and machine learning journey. We looked at how easy it is actually just to get started with privacy enhancing technologies. You didn't have to install anything on your laptop. You didn't have to do anything. You just went on a website, you clicked a few buttons, and you were doing it. And that's how simple it has become these days to do responsible data science. So there's no reason, unless obviously you're working on some very specific challenges, to not really try out pets and related tools. We looked at some of the principles of responsible data science. We looked at a framework that allows us to deploy those principles in practice. We looked at how you can start structuring your data science project for the hackathon so that you can put together a really, really impressive portfolio, both for yourself and to make sure that the judges understand your work. And there we looked at how to put together a data card and a model card. And that will describe to everybody out there that what have you done, why did you do it, what choices did you make along the way, and how could they reproduce your data science project and cross-validate it or recreate or extend it. And so those are the things we discussed. I really appreciate you joining, and I'm looking forward to continuing our chat on Wednesday. I wish everybody all the best. And if you need to reach me, you can obviously drop me questions at ali@oblivious.ai. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day. And I will share the slides through Clarence, and he can send. But actually, you will this recording will go up online, so you will be able to see everything in a recording as well. So thank you, everybody, and have a lovely rest of the week. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, Ali. Bye bye.
Thank you.